I'ma keep it a bean. Stick to the script, every scene. This from last year, but they clean. Say to say, I'ma take something else, but it's winning team. Charlie Sheen, fam gang, the regime. I'm from Piney Green.
What's goody, Shellitronnn here. You can call me Shells, and I'm back at it again with a brand new video. And I'm recording this video right after the one that came out yesterday. Well, yesterday for you guys, it's today for me. Whatever. The one I talked about how the Panthers should trade Cam Newton, and obviously I haven't seen the comments or the ratio yet, but I can go ahead and just imagine what the comments are saying, what the like-dislike ratio is looking like, and how many people ignored the first 30 seconds of the video where I said I'm going to argue both sides of whether the Panthers should trade Cam Newton and give reasons for that, then make a case for why the Panthers should not trade Cam today. I already know that at least half those comments completely ignored me saying that and the context of why I put that video out, to give both sides I guess a voice, and just to hear from y'all on both sides of this topic. And I'm sure people even unsubscribed from that video. But in this video, I'm talking about all the reasons why Cam Newton should not be traded by the Panthers. And this one right here is a pretty obvious one. I think this one doesn't take too much explanation. We all basically, the more reasonable ones of us who aren't prisoners of the moment, can accept why the Panthers should not trade Cam Newton. And people who already unsubscribed, hey, you're probably going to watch this video anyway. I'll tell you that right now. But the first one is because it's Cam Newton. Obviously and easily the best player in the Panthers' admittedly short franchise history. We can talk about Smitty. We can talk about who do you want to talk about? I mean, there really is no contest as to who is the best player. Not best quarterback. That one's even more obvious. But Cam Newton is easily the best player in Panthers franchise history. And I think he does deserve to get one more chance to prove or even disprove that he can be a franchise quarterback for this team. We all know what he's done for the squad, but I think it goes a little bit understated how little the squad has done for him. Sucks to say it, but the Panthers haven't really put Cam in the best position they possibly could, and it's not really their fault. Let's start with the obvious one. Up until just last year, the Panthers have never really had wide receiver threats. Think about it. Cam's first 2 years, his first year, he had a kind of older but still productive Steve Smith. His second year, it was very obvious him and Steve Smith were not getting along. Smitty's an alpha, Cam's an alpha, and a new quarterback. You can't have those two. These guys both saw the Panthers as their team. And for Smitty, the Panthers was his team. It was his team. Then you bring in a really good number 1 overall pick, rookie quarterback. You got to give the keys to the kingdom over to him. And he couldn't, you understand what happened there. Smitty's a big personality. We had to ship him away. And then we brought in Kelvin Benjamin and Devin Funchess. Now, Devin Funchess was not a bad receiver. He just wasn't an X receiver. He is not a number 1 guy. He's a really, really strong number 2. I think he'd be the perfect number 2 in a system. But we used him as our X, and that just didn't work. He got production, but that was only because there was literally no one else to throw the ball to unless you like Brenton Burson. Unless you like Brenton Burson, or if you want to throw the ball to Greg Olsen every play, you got to get the ball to Devin Funchess. So he got production by default. Now, Kelvin Benjamin, the same kind of story happened with him. He had 1,000 yards, I think, his first year, and upwards near like 800 yards his next year. But he got injured, he got fat, he got, I guess, mad at Cam for some reason. They were best friends when they were on the team, and then he made some weird statements about he could have had a better career if any other quarterback was his quarterback. And then he got a different quarterback, and then he got a different quarterback and didn't play for that quarterback. And now I'm not even sure if he's in the league right now. I don't care. But the team has never really had strong wide receivers for Cam Newton. And then you get to the O-line. There has not been a consistent left tackle for this franchise since 2011. I think if I read the stat right, there's been a different starting left tackle each and every year Cam has been on this team. That's 9 straight years of not having stability in the most important position on the O-line. Now, in the second most important part, we did have a lot of stability there with Ryan Khalil. Respect that. His brother, he brought him in, got him a bag. Do not respect that because Matt Khalil was horrible. But other than that, we had a pretty good right tackle. Trey Turner's been really good for us. But the O-line play as a whole hasn't really been the best for a while now. Some years it'd be really good run blocking, but pass blocking was bad. Other years like 2017, there'd be some really good pass blocking, but run blocking was horrible. So the best way to describe Cam Newton's protection is the same way people describe Cam Newton as a passer, and that's inconsistent. And that's the best way you can describe his receiving core as well. Inconsistent and really subpar when you think about the talent that the rest of the league has. At least on the top end, there are teams who either have really, really good like X receivers, or teams that have a couple good like middle of the road kind of guys who are not bad but not like great game breaker. Two like speedy guys, just guys who can get you solid production. We didn't have that. We had kind of good and then a big drop off, and then there was Greg Olsen, who was for a while top 2, top 3 tight end in the league. But you can't depend on just your tight end. You need other weapons. And if you don't have weapons, you need to have protection so you can get the ball to those weapons who are lesser than what you really want to have. Cam never really got either of those things until very recently. 2 years ago, or last year I guess, 2 seasons if you include this one, we got DJ Moore. He was a really big help. Curtis Samuel should have been a bigger piece of the offense 3 years ago, but he got injured, as we know, and obviously he couldn't produce for us then, so we had to wait an extra year for him. We got Curtis and DJ last year, and the offense really did pick up. We got North Turner, and that's another topic I want to talk about here as well. Inconsistent protection, a subpar wide receiver core, and then an offensive coordinator who had no clue what he was doing. Mike Shula was the worst offensive coordinator for Cam, and it showed every single week. His scheme was the most predictable of anyone in the league. Run, first down, run, second down, deep pass on third down. Bet $100 every single drive you would go run, pass, you would barely lose money, ever. You come out way, way, way in the green if you bet on every single drive going run, pass, and then you have Cam Newton with a bad O-line and not great receivers throwing deep every time. I'm not going to lie to you, there's also the element of Cam not being the most accurate. He's not a Drew Brees, like a 75% from the pocket completion rate kind of guy, but when you have this man throwing fades all the time and you're behind the sticks, third and long, third and just over manageable, what are you going to do? You can't run every single down. You can't run on third down if it's 3rd and 6, 3rd and 7. And then the game plan is to throw deep. I did not like what Mike Shula was doing for Cam, and it only made Cam look worse because he was only throwing those deep passes. And honestly, did we have the receivers to really, give Cam those slants, those comebacks, those corner routes? I don't really think so, but we could have drawn something up that was a little bit better than run, pass. Maybe. But when you put all of it together, Cam never really got a fair shake at showing he could be a good quarterback in the NFL in his early years. And now, 8 years into his career, he has weapons. He has a pretty good, maybe overachieving O-line and a lot of really good weapons. A lot more than he's ever had. And now he's injured. I don't think it's fair, right now, to think about trading or releasing Cam. I know the money looks good, and I know the trade equity we could get from Cam would be great. In fact, honestly, there is a really good case. I mentioned this in my video, but there is a really good case for that because you get a lot of money on the back end and you get a ton of draft picks. You would get a ton. I mean, you could really rebuild the whole team around just what you get from releasing Cam or trading Cam, and I get that. And I also understand that the NFL is a business. This is a multi-million-dollar business. I mean, just for the team itself. The NFL as a whole is a hundreds of millions, if not billion-dollar industry each and every year when you take into account ticket sales, concessions. That goes back to the stadiums, I think. But jerseys, the media deals, adverts. There's a whole bunch of money pouring into the NFL. It's a business. You can't get too deep into your feelings. You can't get too deep into the old man loyalty over all this kind of stuff because we always know the franchise is going to do what's best for the franchise. But in this case, I think the best thing for this franchise is giving Cam one more shot. Worst case scenario, Cam comes in, only plays decent in the back end of this season, goes into next year, looks pretty all right. We could potentially think about trading him then before the trade deadline in 2020, but I would not think about trading Cam Newton right now when there's the potential for him to come back, shoulder healthy, foot injury gone and healed, and he is back to being a good quarterback in this league, I don't think he needs to be an MVP candidate to be a really good quarterback in the league. And that's one thing I really hate when I hear about the Panthers, or Cam specifically. Every single person, whether they're in the media, they have no idea what the Panthers are, or Panthers fans. Yes, Panthers fans. They always mention 2015. Why does Cam have to be 2015 MVP to validate his future in the league? He could be 80% of what he did in 2015, just be a top 10 quarterback. With this defense, with our coaching, with these weapons, he can be a really good quarterback and be a Super Bowl winning caliber quarterback. This could be a Super Bowl team without Cam being the literal MVP of the league. We've seen other quarterbacks who weren't MVPs of the league win Super Bowls. So it's really weird to me how every person, literally fans, non-fans, people who are casual fans of just the NFL in general, say, well, if Cam's back to MVP, or 2015 this, 2015, that happened 3-4 years ago. 3 years ago. 4 years ago. I went to public school, I don't know math. But the point is, we don't need Cam to be an MVP to be a really great quarterback for this team. And I think that if you get that through your head, you can understand that Cam can come back at about 80% of 2015. 85% of 2015. I don't mean 85% of health. I need Cam to be 100%. I don't want him on the field if he's injured, if his foot's still hurting, if his shoulder's still hurting. I don't want any of that. But you could make a case that Cam coming back healthy and at a slightly lower level than his MVP season, this team could be a Super Bowl winning team. I want to see him be a little bit more accurate, because we did see in these games early on he was still overthrowing receivers, throwing the ball way over their heads. There were some inaccuracies, but there were also some really impressive passes that I don't think he would have made a couple of years ago. So we still have to understand that Cam might be inconsistent. But we can also understand that an inconsistent Cam is better than a middle-of-the-road Kyle Allen, who I think has been impressive. He's been impressive as a game manager, but I don't think game manager is what this team needs. I don't think Kyle Allen is the franchise quarterback, the QB of the future. And if you get rid of Cam, your starting quarterback's Kyle Allen, and if he gets hurt, your next guy up is Will Grier. I feel like all this talk about Kyle Allen has taken a lot of pressure off Will Grier. Everyone's forgot about how bad Will Grier looked. And if y'all listen to me, I told y'all when the draft happened that Will Grier was going to be a project quarterback that would take probably a couple years. Not just one, but a couple years to get up to speed. Will Grier ain't ready. Will Grier ain't ready. And when you have a backup quarterback, he's like the vice president. If the president goes down, the vice president is now the acting president. And I don't think very many Panthers fans would like to have Will Grier as their acting president. Tell me if I'm wrong. Tell me if I'm wrong. Get rid of Cam if you want to. Even if you love Kyle Allen, you would probably rather have Cam be the backup, Cam be the guy in the reserves, than have Will Grier. I could be wrong. You might love Will Grier. You gotta tell me why, but it's possible. Either way, man, that's how I feel about it. I think it's a pretty obvious thing. You don't want to trade Cam. What you get back from on the back end is great. I can't argue against that. There are some really good positives that will come from trading Cam. Huge positives. But that can happen next year, maybe to a lesser degree, but we can still get some things from him from next year. And we need to see what he can do this year and the start of next year. I think he deserves that. I think Cam could come back and be better than he was before. What are your thoughts on Cam Newton, trade-wise, not trade-wise? Let me know all your thoughts in the comments below. And you already know to do that like button.
Cheers to you, appreciate the chance. Been told y'all I been the man. Been told y'all I had the gift. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Real ones gonna recommend. Count this as another win.